Hi, how's it going? Today I wanted to make a video about just water weight and how it works, why it happens. I'd like to preface this video by saying that I am not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor or scientist, I'm just a nursing student trying to help. I'm just here trying to give Amberlynn Reid some information about water weight because not too long ago, during the summer, she was doing daily weigh-ins, and there was one specific week where she gained about 10 pounds from day to day, and I just kind of wanted to break that down for her, for us, for everyone, because I feel like she has a little bit of misinformation about water weight and why it happens, how it works, how to get rid of it. So yeah, I have some clips from the video that I will insert, and after they're done playing, I'll just kind of go over what we saw and what we can do to help Amber understand why this is happening so that she's not so naive about the situation any longer, because she just kind of seems to not get it at all. Yeah, let's take a look.
Day 27. Hello. It's ready. £561.8. 561.8 seems like I'm moving in the right direction, but rather slowly. Today is July 14th. I know, told you, very behind. Day 28. So let's do it. Hello. It's ready. £571.0. 571.0. What? Oh my god, are you for real right now? You guys saw that I gained 10 pounds overnight. It was more so like 9. But that just goes to show how easy it is for me to gain water weight. It is absolutely incredible.
So, as we can see from the clips, which I'm sure all of you, if not most of you, have seen before already, there was 2 days where she went from one day being 561.8 to being 571.0. Now that's a gain of about 9.2 pounds. Now, if you notice, she keeps saying that she gained this weight overnight, and I would like to point out that that's not true. If she would have weighed herself at the end of the day where she was in the 560s, she would have seen that she gained weight, and she was probably higher than 571.0 at the end of that day, because that's what happens when you eat food during the day. You gain weight. Food has a weight to it, alright? So you would gain weight. I have no doubt that she could have been 573 by the end of that day, because she didn't gain this weight overnight. That's not what happens. Another thing I'd like to point out, she always refers to it like it only happens to her. She just acts like it's some phenomenon that doesn't happen to anybody else. Let me tell you, there are skinny people that can very easily gain 10 pounds of water weight overnight. Like, it happens. It's something that happens. Yeah, I agree. It is absolutely incredible. The human body is whack, let me tell you. But it doesn't just happen to Amber, and it doesn't just happen to obese people. It happens because that's what our body needs to do to process the food we eat. This woman used to work in healthcare, and I know that because she violated HIPAA violations by filming the healthcare facility and the residents in it. I don't know exactly what position she was in at this healthcare facility, but I do know that if she was any form of caregiver, usually caregivers have to take weights of residents, and I'm sure that there were some overweight residents at this facility. They're usually, it just, people are overweight. There are people that are overweight, and you usually end up with overweight elderly people that need to get their weights taken. Now, I personally am a certified nursing assistant, and I work in a nursing home, and when I have to take weights of people, you know, sometimes their weights are very consistent, but there are other people, especially bigger people, who their weights fluctuate very much, like quite a bit. Like, I'm talking maybe between 15 pounds for the whole week. Like, it can go up 5 pounds one day, back down to 7 pounds. Like, it's very dependent on what this person ate, what problems this person has. These are people who are nowhere near the size that she is. I'm talking like half of what she weighs. Like, still bigger, but not super morbidly obese like she is. So her gaining 10 pounds overnight, it should not even be out of the ordinary for her. I feel like this is something that has probably been happening her whole life. I don't understand why she's so shocked when it happens, because she is so big. So I'm just gonna jump into why this happens, how you get rid of it, you know, the basics. So this is all stuff you can Google, by the way. The first two things that make you gain water weight overnight are carbohydrates and sodium. Now, this happens because sodium and carbohydrates need to hold on to water in order to be processed in your body. If we look at some statistics, we can see that eating just 1 gram of carbohydrates requires anywhere from 3 grams to 4 grams of water to stay with it to help it process through your body. It is not uncommon for someone who's eating a moderate carbohydrate diet, I'm talking very moderate, very healthy, eating a very well-balanced carbohydrate diet, you can gain up to 1.7 to 2 pounds overnight within the day from these meals. It's not uncommon. And this is for a healthy weight person, someone who's not almost 600 pounds. And that can just be from one meal. Like, you can, if you eat a big meal, if you're not eating a moderate diet, if you eat a big meal full of carbohydrates and sodium, you can gain up to like 2 pounds from just one meal. If you're eating 3 or 4 meals a day with something that heavy of concentration of carbohydrates and sodium, gaining 10 pounds overnight, out of the question, can easily happen. It's not impossible, because your body's going to have a more difficult time processing this in such high quantities. Now, with salt, if you're eating a moderate salt diet, women can gain up to a whole pound just from eating a moderate salt diet. Most people don't eat moderate salt diets. A lot of things have sodium in them. I know Amberlynn eats a decent amount of processed food. I know her whole problem with her weight loss doctor was the amount of sodium, but she has proven time and time again that she really turns to processed food when she's too lazy to cook, and this increases your sodium intake quite a bit. And I imagine with the size of her body, these weights that I'm listing off wouldn't even apply to her. They would be much higher because she is so big. Now, there's also other factors of why you would be gaining water weight, both of which apply to Amberlynn. There's actually several other reasons why you would be gaining water weight, but these are the main 4. Carbohydrates, sodium, and then the next 2 I'm going to talk about here. One of them being estrogen. Testosterone causes it as well, but estrogen does more so, especially if this is a menstruating woman, and Amberlynn has talked about how she still menstruates, so this definitely applies to her. It's not uncommon for a woman before she starts menstruating that she can gain up to 5 to 10 pounds of water weight in the week, because your body's holding on to that water to prepare itself for the menstruation to begin. So I don't think Amberlynn shares her PMS calendar with us, but you know, if this was happening at a time before, after, during, wherever this happens to her, it's different for every woman, she could very easily gain 5 to 10 pounds of water weight in a week, and it would take until after your menstruation cycle is over to go away. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about here is cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone that most people refer to that as what it is. Now, raised levels of cortisol can cause water weight retention. And cortisol is kind of a bitch, because you can gain water weight and you can also gain fat when there's raised cortisol levels. Now, this would be a result of being stressed out for any reason. Amberlynn always seems to be stressed out, even though she does absolutely nothing all day, so I don't, whatever. Other things that can cause cortisol levels to rise is extreme calorie restriction and strenuous exercise, which I'm gonna go out there and say it, I don't think this applies to Amberlynn. If it does, if she's secretly running marathons behind her back, you know, I take it back then, but I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say strenuous exercise and extreme calorie restriction does not apply to our girl. The reason I bring all this up is because she seems to just get really flustered when she gains weight, like small amounts, and really excited when she loses really small amounts of weight, and I don't think she understands that it's water weight. It's not actual fat, it's just her. Like, there were times, I know recently she said something about losing 7 pounds to a hater that said she looks like she's gaining weight. She said, actually, I lost 7 pounds. I don't know over the course of how long this is. I don't know what she's basing it off of, but if it was just 7 pounds over the course of, say, a couple days, I have no doubt that at least half of that's water weight, if not more, especially with her size. I just get it's really awkward when she gets very excited about losing fractions of a pound from day to day, because it's definitely water weight. Like, you peed that out. Weighing yourself every day, those tiny fluctuations are water weight, and they don't really matter in the great scheme of things. Now, if you want to manage the fluctuation of water weight, it's actually pretty simple. You really you need to, first of all, just understand that this is something that happens, and it happens to everybody. It's not exclusive to fat people, it's not exclusive to skinny people, it happens to everyone. Two main things that you can do is to exercise regularly and really watch your sodium intake. Sodium is a pretty high cause of water retention. Sodium holds on to more water than carbohydrates do. Another way that you can help reduce water weight is to drink more water, and I know Amber tries hard at that, but also to eat more like water-filled foods like fruits and vegetables. Like, really have a high intake of fruits and vegetables in your diet if you want to combat water weight. Now, there is another way for water weight that I also am going to say straight up does not apply to Amberlynn. It's called refeeding if you've been restricting for a while. If you look up more about the Minnesota starvation experiment, you'll learn more about this, because they actually lost weight. They lost water weight when they were eating more, because they had just been restricting for so long, and not really even restricting, just like having a calorie deficit for so long that they were retaining so much water, and eating more actually caused them to lose this water weight. But I am gonna say, again, going out on a limb, this does not apply to Amberlynn. This usually does not apply to people who are not in starvation mode. I really doubt that this is Amberlynn's case. I don't think she's been restricting that heavily, and I don't think she's had a very high calorie deficit, if any. So I'm, again, going out, taking a shot in the dark here, saying that's not going to apply to our girl, Amberlynn. Yeah, hopefully this video was at least somewhat informational. Hopefully it was less boring than my last video. I know my last video wasn't very spiced up with anything, but I really wanted to try to get this information out here because I feel like Amber is very confused and just misinformed, maybe just naive, ignorant, whatever word you want to use. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to subscribe, feel free. If you want to like my video, feel free. Comment if you want to. I need more ideas. I gotta go. See ya.